Welcome to Raising the Circle, the show spotlighting sustainable and circular businesses and ideas here in Denmark. We dive into the minds of the changemakers, reimagining how we live, how we create, and how we consume in a more regenerative way. Today's story begins with something many of us use every day: coffee cups and takeaway containers, and all the packaging that comes with convenience. But what if convenience didn't have to mean single use? We're joined today by Robert Dichtl, the CEO and co-founder of Kleen Hub, to talk about that. And he's behind the startup Tap and Reuse, the world's first return system that works without an app or a deposit. And their mission is super simple. It's to ditch single use with just a tap. So Kleen Hub is building a reuse system that are as easy as tossing away your single-use cup out in the bin, but it's far more circular. They're working with supermarket chains in the UK to airports in Norway, and Kleen Hub is doing it quietly but powerfully, transforming the way that we return and borrow packaging, one tap at a time. If you've ever wondered how design, tech, and a bit of bold thinking can reshape our throwaway culture, this episode is for you. So, let's tap in and meet Robert. Okay, Robert, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll dive into a little bit of the story behind all the things you've created and how you've ended up here with Tap and Reuse and Kleen Hub. So if we go a little bit before Kleen Hub, before Tap and Reuse, can you share a bit more of what sparked your interest in this whole sustainability, circular solutions?
Yeah, I think for me there's two purposes. One is like we create something, so I really like starting as an entrepreneur, creating something own, and then the other part is the sustainability part. So for me it was kind of clear during my bachelor that I really enjoy building stuff or working with friends, creating a company, being my own boss. So it was kind of really I want to do something, and at the beginning it was not really connected to impact. So it's more like parties, organizing events, making money, kind of like things like that. And then later on, through my bachelor thesis, which was about electronic waste and circularity, and then also master thesis, it kind of became more into this circular economy, impactful things, just applying this entrepreneurial spirit I had to some impactful things. It just wasn't purely about making money and working something which really excites me. So kind of combining two things. And yeah, basically first started then with the e-waste topic, packaging and things like that, or like kind of waste recycling, first recycling, then reuse as well, and then yeah, magically in summer 19, kind of the whole like Kleen Hub part started with packaging. And from then on, yeah, since summer 19, almost 5 years now, we're working on Kleen Hub and applying kind of our startup spirit towards yeah, circular economy and packaging.
Beautiful. And before that, you mentioned electronic waste you were working on.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit more of what that was like and how you took those learnings into Kleen Hub?
Yeah, basically my bachelor thesis was about electronic waste, kind of recycling of electronic waste. And for me, it was not really like a topic, it's like a very niche topic. And I remember I just bought for the bachelor thesis a new MacBook, and then I started researching about it and realized like how that's like the fastest growing waste stream, like all the phones, the computers, the whole, like everything gets more digital now, old stuff gets replaced faster and stuff like that. And then yeah, but realizing that most of the electronics actually shipped to third world countries or China, India, kind of sometimes Africa, and get disposed in the wrong way, and the massive loss of resources, like especially precious metal, gold, platinum, silver, like everything in these devices basically. And that was really, really interesting. We were seeing like that, yeah, that how recycling can fix things, how the international trade works with that. And then also like there was mostly recycling. I really like the idea that you have a lot of trash, e-waste, right? I did a project with the Copenhagen Kommune there as well. So it's really exciting seeing how much waste, especially in Denmark, we have, and it's super growing in the Nordics. And we got just shipped illegally, somehow loses it. And then we come also more and more. And then for my master thesis, I really liked the topic. I really was passionate about it. And then the thesis I could continue something like this, a bit more commercial, a bit more on reuse, on circular economy. And was also like, how can like the lifespan extend it? How can we have take-back systems that we take old electronics back and refurbish them, reuse them, or donate them somewhere, stuff like that. So it kind of set like the foundation for circular economy, for reuse, mostly in electronics. And I still really like the electronic setup. It's really interesting. But it's also very regulated and so on. And then when KleenHub came along with my co-founders, it was like a nice, fresh kind of start with a lot of learnings from before from this kind of topic, and also kind of way easier to operate and start. So that was kind of the transition from electronic waste to packaging waste.
Which now you're kind of bringing in this electronic element,
yeah,
tech element that we'll talk about later.
That's actually a good, back to the start kind of. Yeah, in a different setup, but yeah, I think like we kind of need it. We need some more electronics, but I expect later a bit more why we do this. But the principle is the same, right? That we kind of refuse, reuse, not recycle. Recycle, it's also many times, I've been around to some conferences about circular economy. People speak about recycling only, and that's something that has to change, because like we can't recycle us out of this mess, right? Where we are right now, recycling is the last 50 years. They tell us if you sort your waste, we can recycle it, but when you look around, I think 8-9% of the world for plastic is recycled. The rest is just not, right? So it's a concept who is really driven by the industry. It's not really working. So we have to rethink it, and that's where reuse is in place. So if we prevent plastics through refusal or through reuse, that's the way forward. It's not just creating more recycling and hoping that the huge recycling system behind can help us. We have great recycling systems in Europe, in Denmark, in Germany, stuff like that, but it's not the way. It doesn't work as it should be, and it's also not everywhere in the world. So yeah, the best is reuse.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of everywhere in the world, you've lived in 5 cities or 5 countries? Mm. Germany, Thailand, I say California because it feels like its own country.
Sure, at least right now.
Right. Yeah. Brazil and Denmark, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of different systems on packaging, on systems, and solutions along the way. How have you taken that global perspective and that global influence into developing KleenHub?
Yeah, first of all, I think I'm super grateful that I can have this. Basically, with work, travel to this. So even Colombia, like Latin America, in Thailand, right, as well. So I think it's crazy. Like understanding the problems in each country and each geography is something super exciting for me. I love it, and being able to travel and connect to solving a problem there. The Brazil case was quite recently, like around 2 years ago, roughly 1.5 years ago. And that was actually probably the biggest impact, because we also were changing with the KleenHub. And for us was like, okay, we need a solution works everywhere. Like if we build something works only in Denmark or in Germany, great. I mean, it's a big impact here, but we have waste management systems and stuff like this way better than the one in Rio, for example, where I lived. So I think it makes clear the global scale. So it's not just a European or Nordic problem, it's everywhere. The other thing is also like it's if you live in Brazil and see like how it's managed, it's completely different, and the problem is the same. And one thing is also like there was also like from the learnings, you can't tropicalize a solution. You can't just copy paste the Danish one and tropicalize as they call it to bring it to Brazil. It has to be it has to work there. Mm-hmm. And for us, it was really like the volumes, because it's such a bigger country. The city is huge. We had like a pilot with a stadium. They were selling 20,000 beers in 15 minutes between the breaks. And our solution was before like the kind of more like smaller, like with QR codes, or like lower pace. And then it was clear, okay, if we want to solve a problem like this, we have to change technology. We have to really make a scalable, like a high volume solution who can do that. So this input, especially the Brazilian input, really helped us to shape the current solution we have. And now we know it could work in Brazil, it can work here. So it really was like massive input, rethinking the products we built before. One with tap and reuse, and then even the further product improvements on top of that. So it's really, I think, for me as a CEO of the company, I think it's super helpful to be abroad, to learn these things, get the inputs and speak to so many people. If I would have only stayed in Denmark, I think we would have probably already stopped. So it really helped us for the pivot, broadening the mind, see other solutions, talk to other players. I lived in a favela for 4 months, also understanding, okay, like how they handle waste here. It's really like you have to reuse, right? They have no proper. If you just throw it there, the rain puts it in the ocean. So it's really like seeing the impact firsthand, and yeah, so really impactful for me myself as personally, but also for like how the company should progress and what products we need to build.
Exciting, interesting, and it's, I'm sure is seeding some of the same learnings in this high-speed environment as the stadium, or rethinking the system. And before KleenHub became more of the tap and reuse and having this technology being in other stadiums around other parts of Europe, you were a closed loop system with reusable cups and bowls, and you were kind of seeding yourself into Copenhagen in the early stages. Can you share a bit of those early days and those lessons that came along with it?
Yeah, basically we started at the year came, I guess that's summer 19, but then more concrete we started to launching during Corona in like 2020 here in Copenhagen. The initial idea was bringing reusable bowls, like metal boxes, actually to restaurants, right? And there's like current ways, it's either app or deposit. So back in the days it was mostly deposit, like the Danske two-system, pan system, stuff like that. We know in the Nordics it's a bit difficult, especially for high quality containers. So the only way to solve it is basically have an app and have a library system, so you don't pay a deposit for a metal container, which is high quality. So you basically just rent it through our app for free for, let's say, 7 days. And if you not return, it's like 150, 100 kroner, something like this. So that's how we started. We approached a lot of, started in Vesterbro in Copenhagen, started with some restaurants. And then after some months, they told us we want metal cups. So we sourced metal cups, like stainless steel cups, and rolled that out. So we really grew quite fast in Copenhagen. Had, I think, at peak time, 150 clients, like locations in the city, almost all major coffee shops, universities, the big universities as well. So it was really learning, being out, talking to the client, improving the app, make it easy and so on. Adding different sizes of cups and stuff. It's really like, that was the idea. And then we had also this belief, you have to build a big network, so you get from one cafe the cup and return it to the other one. So kind of these network effects, which then later become clear, it's not needed and so on. So we had a lot of learnings, a lot of good feedbacks, different segments like cafes on the street, universities, corporate offices, closed loops, own packaging, things like that. But we've then quite fast realized that's really tough, and also other app systems appeared. So I think now almost everyone has like somehow a technology behind it. So it was clear that's the way forward. But then we realized it's so tough. Like, would you download an app to rent a reusable cup? Probably not.
There's a barrier.
Yeah, it's a big barrier, and it worked. Like, I think it was for maybe 5 to 10% of the people. The rest was still single use because of people don't want to do that. And kind of this learning, kind of before Brazil came, also like we have to make it even easier, and that's then how the idea with tap and reuse was born. So this massive barrier that you have to do the sustainable thing made it quite hard, and so we decided not to continue with banging our head against the wall, trying to make the app better or things like that, which others were doing. We said, okay, we have to radically rethink the process, kind of first principle, what do we need? How can we make it more convenient? So really the convenience focus. First was convenience focus, and then with the Brazil input was also the scale and the speed focus. So basically it has to be convenient, super inconvenient for you getting a coffee, or also for the barista, whatever, making a coffee, or everyone involved in the whole value chain, logistics and stuff like this. But then through the input of Brazil has to be more scalable, has to be kind of way easier to ramp it up, instead of just being okay, great, we have cafes in Copenhagen, but we also learned that it's super hard to monetize this, and this is also important, of course, if you want the sustainable growth as well, right?
Interesting. So I'm hearing convenience and speed, these two marrying together. But I'm also curious to elaborate a little bit further on the network effect. That's a surprising thing to hear, that if you did create a series of different cafes and collaborators, that there would be disposing of and giving back to the borrowed items. Can you speak? Why was that not the magic trick?
A very good question, because we really thought it's super important that you go to one cafe, you take a coffee, walk around and return to the next one. But in the end, we had data, right? We know, like, you returned coffee here, bought it here, returned there. So we had these kind of things. And we saw actually it's closed loops. You have a big loop. You can return it to, we had like, was it like 150, 130 places where you could return it. But in the end, you always go to your favorite coffee shop because you like it, because it's cheap, it's great coffee, whatever it is, the reason. We live close by, I don't know. And then you return it the next day or the day after because you get another coffee. So it's not even, it's super, super rare that the cup was actually returned somewhere else. So, and that's really made us also rethink, do we need this? Then the other part was also, we talked then also to bigger players in the game who was clear they want not the generic packaging as we had, like one cup fits all basically. So if you're a very big brand, you want to have your own packaging, and then you kind of, they want to have the loop into the loop. So it's also like we have to kind of offer this white label that they can have, if you're a big chain like Starbucks, whatever, that you return it in the same chain only. And so, yeah, by just looking at the data, we thought the only driver, I think, was maybe that we had already 5 cafes in the neighborhood, so the 6th cafe also had to be part. It was kind of forced, so this kind of social, the fear of missing out or something like this. But from usage and from thing, it was, we completely overestimated, and many others did as well. So as we know from other systems in Europe, they did the same. They thought network is super important. And lastly was also with, we realized also from the perspective that one big client, one university, one corporate office was worth like 20 cafes in the city. So it's also that we kind of focused a bit more commercially, because also at that point we need to make some money, volume is important, it's like a small margin, high volume game. And then we said, okay, maybe if we just work with this kind of client, we can do way more impact, because there's also impact, of course, saving way more cups in a university than shops outside. Mm-hmm. So we kind of started more the closed loop focus and abandoning the whole network effect.
Okay, for more institutions,
yeah,
whether it's an office building as we're in, or a cafeteria of a school.
Yeah, it's also way easier because like we had our solution at that point was also a bit more complex, and then you had smaller cafes have shifting bartenders, baristas and stuff like that. So it was like kind of also the whole operations. Every 2-3 months they had new barista student working there. They had to be onboarded, and if it's more like a corporate setup where you have like everything's organized from the top, bartenders who are Monday to Friday, full-time employed, who driven from the top management as well. So, or like the universities, they had a different interest in this than a coffee shop was like, oh nice, they want to do that, but they weren't really committed. Or maybe the owner was committed, but the staff not. So it was just so many factors into play that we said like, this is not the way to go forward. And it was not only us as well, so like we had this knowledge from other players around Europe. So it was like, okay, it's like a more structural problem, so we move on and do something better.
Yeah, exciting. And now the team is making a shift from no longer being this reusable packaging, but creating a reusable system. Yep. And enabling that system.
Yep. That's the word.
A bold pivot.
Yes, a massive pivot for us. After, I remember we made this video where we announced we deleting our app, I think after 3 years. So like all the money and we spent to build this app and make it better, we said, okay, now we completely abandoned it. And I think it was one of our best LinkedIn posts we made, that is saying we deleting our app. And yeah, it's a big pivot.
Deleting the app and not closing the company. So that's also exactly. An interesting pairing. And when did you know it was time to shift from product to involving tech?
It was this 2023 kind of early tap and reuse days where we see like the uptake was way better, or when we installed the first pilots where we saw, okay, wow, it's way more people using it, feedback is more better. Also when we announced tap and reuse first time, we got so much feedback actually from the competition of other reuse system. Not really competition, but everyone else working on that came to us like, wow guys, that's the way going forward with tap and reuse. So it was like, actually the guys who know the area the best, operating that, told us we are on the right track. We know it anyway internally, but we get then all this feedback from the other players, talking to them. Some even thought about buying us because we would have fit their portfolio and things like that. So it was really for us like, well, okay, that's a good proof that this is the right way forward. And then we were of course confident making this video, and I mean the app is still around actually, so we still have some clients in Copenhagen, but we already noticed them that we actually 1st of August we want to change, completely stop it and not support it anymore, and so you can't even download the app anymore. So it was a big pivot for us.
Yeah, it must have been a big step towards something unknown in a way, but something that what I'm hearing is that you're also using a lot of data and feedback to make your decisions. Yeah, can you speak a little bit more as a CEO how these two elements of having input of feedback is also data, but having data to lead your decisions?
I actually recently learned also feelings is data. It's also interesting actually.
Say that again?
Feelings is data as well.
Feelings
so if you feel
data.
bad, then you perceive it as data. It's a bit off topic now, but I think it gets around in this anything. And data is of course super important. We were not super data driven at the start. We really like, oh, you have this perception, we have to do this and that. As I said, like we need to build this network effect. You like when you start a company, you're very much like you think you know it all, or you have this feeling and very feeling based because you can't generate so much data somehow, at least from the system or the usage or whatever. Of course, I think what we really good are, and also what I really enjoy as well as a CEO is like speaking to a lot of people, being a lot of involved. At the beginning, you didn't say no to many things. You do everything and speak to different clients, and so we've been really focused. That helped us a lot to try different segments. Also checking in with other players in the market. It's really like getting as much as information out, also then as it internationally as well from different countries. And I think it's super important to get this data driven, be very close to the customer as well. We see from other companies they were building a lot of things, but not really validating it. It's also like you can of course sit in this room, design a system or whatever you want, but until it reaches the market, maybe the market doesn't want it. So it's like really being close to the client, talking to a user, talking to clients, really invest time understanding their pain points and improving. So we had also many things we thought, we have to build this and that, and for the app we built a lot of features and I realized no one is using it. And that kind of helped us then also for when we with Tap and Review said, okay, we have to strip it down, all these features no one needs or is not really using it, keep it to the core. We can then, if needed, build some things on top. But the core concept needs to be as simple as possible, and we also always said, and also once we kind of decided the pivot, make sure we really do things through the information or the data from the clients or from whoever we talk to, not just us thinking we are super smart, because we also had this overconfidence, of course, many times where we believed, oh, well, it's the way to go, this is working, or like you're super in your little bubble. But then once you rebuild it, no one uses it, and it's like, okay, why did we do that? Why we spend money on that? Things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So reading emotions, reading data.
Yeah, I mean emotion. Yeah. There's a bit off topic, but yeah, it also helps, of course. Like why I don't want to do this, or why do I feel like that? So we had also cases where we had like talking to some potential partner, and we felt weird in this conversation and all these things, and then we can actually stop it, and later on we learned from others that it's actually something we shouldn't, that they are a bit shady, or not shady, but like it's something so our gut was right in this case, which was also really strange. I mean, not really strange, but in a business context was quite rare. But otherwise, yeah, it's really about getting data. I mean, of course you can get 1,000 data points, so what's also useful, like where you have to look at, what's important, what's the metric and stuff like this. But I think that's normal, that this evolves over time.
And it sounds like a good marriage of the two. I think it's important in everything that we create that there is data input, but also your intuition or your gut sensing another potential collaboration or customer.
I mean,
making a decision.
Yeah, I mean, we also work with humans, right? The business is about humans. It's not like data. Like also, like, of course, you can build an app and stuff like this, but it's really every client, every customer. It's really about this. So yeah, it's basically speaking to people.
And maybe before we go into showing a little bit of how this tap and reuse works, I would love to ask you just a childhood question to better understand kind of the frame of mind or the upbringing that you've been growing up with. I think it sets the tone. So how was your upbringing in terms of being mindful in sustainability aspects or some kind of reusing, recycling, circularity?
I mean, I'm German, so I grew up in a town outside of Munich, so in a countryside of Voss. I think my parents did had a very good upbringing, so just to say, basically kind of frame it. And of course, like values is really about don't do all the trends. Well, my parents try to repair things if it's broken, or reuse, and not like upgrading the car all the time, or a TV, or like from the childhood giving us the idea that things have value, things that just be extended, we fix that, or maybe something's buy secondhand. Of course, in Germany, recycling or separation of waste is also very present. So we always separate paper and glass and metal, and of course plastic somehow. I remember even my parents, like if you have a yogurt, you just remove the lid, which is aluminium, you wash it, and the plastic, and sometimes you have the paper as well. So it's kind of this dissecting a paper cup. So we definitely awareness, and then of course also had some friends who were like kind of environmental. Like all of us, we kind of were environmental, like aware and things like that. So I think it was great to work up, spend a lot of time in nature as well, and then of course, still part of Boy Scouts, also kind of a sustainability.
Part a lot.
No, it really helped us also if you spend like a week into a camp with friends and stuff like this, into nature, and you learn the trees, you learn to how make a fire, and just camping a whole week. We connect really to the nature, and yeah, and then of course I started studying economics or business, and later on, so really more like on this side, but I think you can't suppress this kind of sustainability aspects later on. And yeah, I think it's a lot of education as well. I mean, through university, I always liked this. I remember like I had even in the 10th grade or so, like I was like a project about lithium-ion batteries, and then like kind of understanding this a bit.
Your e-waste.
Yeah, it's funny enough because like I remember
together.
like 10 years later, I don't know how much 10 years later, but 5, 6, 7 years later, I was lithium. I know about this. I did a presentation in school about it. So it's always I think also I speaking to upbringing also we had kind of books about like kind of how nature design, like basically the fins of a shark then gets applied to airplanes to be fuel efficient. And so basically always, I remember I had many of these books where I connected like kind of the nature, like the design of the nature to things. So like the leaves, how if you microbuild the structure, how this can be used in buildings, so like architecture stuff. So it was really interesting. So I always like these technical parts, innovation, not too nerdy, but still kind of application of this into because nature is our best teacher in the end, right? That you understand why as a shark fins like that, and maybe you can use this as well. So I think that was really interesting. Oh, I remember I had this kit where you can like grow crystals, or so also this science thing, or you have these little shrimps you can farm and stuff like that. So really like you get like curious about nature, innovation, things like this, but technical stuff as well.
Yeah, it sounds like looping in that we are nature, that we're all connected, but also appreciating all the materials that you come in contact with. Beautiful.
Actually, great question. It just made me reflect and think back. A lot of things I'm not really well aware, but through this question I could really think about how everything makes sense now, basically, with the hobbies and with the information and with my surrounding, also with my friends, of course, and stuff like that. So we never really like, oh, let's go out to a park, drink beers and throw it into nature. We always like, hey, now we take the trash home, or not home, or to the trash bin. So we were always like things you should not do. So
consciousness. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, really thank you for this. If you watch this, it's of course not in German, but thank you for this, for the values.
Yeah, we can test their English skills. So now we'd love to look a little bit of this tap and reuse, which is a way of empowering institutions to take your product, right, and put it into stadiums or into business buildings or schools, etc. Maybe you can walk us through it, and then share a bit of what makes it different from the market examples. And yeah, I can get up, and you can get up, and show us how this works. All right. So we have tap and reuse as kind of the new transition away from product into tech. Can you show us? We have a simulated
environment. Yeah, so tap and reuse is the technology behind it. What we do is basically link packaging with just the tap of a payment method. So we don't remove all the app, all the deposit thing, the convenience, as I said before. So that's the core. And today we show the magic counter, which is basically the physical product, the hardware part connected to tap and reuse. Magic counter, why? Because it's invisible. So it's actually under here is a reader. And here we have like a payment terminal. And how it works is basically if you order now a coffee, I'm the barista. I make the coffee, and then I just place it on the counter here. And is that underneath is this RFID reader. Our products have a chip inside, and then it activates. And what you do, you just tap the card, and that's it. Super simple, super fast. So as a barista, you just prepare drinks, you place them. You can of course have 10 cups here or whatever, beer, whatever it is. And for you can either tap your physical card or just Apple Pay or Google Pay. That's it. So
easy, convenient, exactly.
that's the way. Fast, like really you can get a lot of beers out, let's say in a festival or in a stadium. For you, it's really, you don't have to register, you don't have to download, you don't have to deal with things. You just tap it, you saw it, it activates, it reads it, and that's it.
So is there a little bit of a pant kind of, for example, here we pay in 1 krona per a glass or a can of some kind of soda that you buy. How does that work?
Actually,
cost?
very, very good question. So if we have also now a chip here, it activates basically, and then it shows actually we have like zero krona. So it's completely free, and then you can do Apple Pay, or you can do this card again.
Put it on the business card.
Yeah, exactly. So now, no, it's completely free. That's also important for us. Like, it should be free, because deposit is always a barrier. So why paying for packaging? Doesn't make sense. So it's really about free convenience. Just solved in a smart way as well. Hidden, so you install it once, you don't have to deal with it. Of course, we're upgrading the technology we have as we today, but the idea is very, very easy. And so here in the bottom you can see is the chip. So it's included in this cup. You can use any type of packaging. It also works in metal, focus more on plastic though. We have also here this, for example, is like a tag. It's like a sticker. So it can be applied to any type. So we could also put it on the glass cup and use it. So if people have already a reusable inventory, they can just make it smart with our technology.
Yeah, and now you're making your way into providing it at airports and stadiums.
Yeah.
What was it? Also supermarkets?
Yeah, well, very big one right now. So we launched 2.5 weeks, the first pilot with a supermarket in the UK, one of the biggest and famous and premium one. Not sure if I'm allowed to say who, since we're still waiting for some approval. Watch on LinkedIn, that's already posted, so I'm not allowed to actively promote it, but it's out there, so check on LinkedIn. Airports, very good. Tomorrow we do a pilot with Brussels Airport. We did Oslo Airport before, so really, and seeing quite momentum airports. Reason also why with our system, for example, is it's cashless, super important. It's very, like, the operational friction is almost not there. Then also, since every cup has a chip, so we can really track it, the impact, know how many times this cup was used. The return is super easy. You can just drop it into a dump bin, just in a bin, and then we have an RFID reader who can just point at it and it would read all the cups inside. So we don't have to actively do something for the return process as well. So we have really like a nice flow for borrow, a really nice flow for return it. It works without deposits. It's important. The whole technology we provide is also like outstanding. It just needs power. We bring our own internet, so especially for airports or stadiums, it's good to have like a own, because they don't want to connect to like their system, or if their system fails, we have ours as backup. So it's just a lot of work going, a lot of learnings 3 years before with the old system, and now already that we are already kind of the 3rd generation now of tap and reuse now with this product. So a lot of learnings, deployments, as I said, like different segments. Also, a supermarket behaves different in a stadium or like a university. The more we roll it out, to deploy it, we already know next. So we already planned for the next quarter, which starts soon. So we constantly improving and making the system better.
Okay, back to taking the data and the learnings from each of the environments and applying it. And I'm also curious what makes you unique, because these are not easy doors to open. For example, the security element in airports. It's quite a high barrier for maybe new adaptation of new technology to reuse. So you have to have a bit of a minded decision maker who is interested in this circular way of using their products. Can you share more of how these doors were opened and how you're different than other solutions that you're providing? That can be provided.
Let's start with how we are different. Is we're using RFID technology, which, as I mentioned, you can process a lot of items at the same time. Others work like just with QR codes, so it's a bit slower. You have to focus on this one. So we can really, like I said, like you just place 5 cups or 10 cups instantly. So because it's so we really like one of the pioneers with RFID. So for the operational ease, kind of, also for the returns, so we focused on that. We had, as I said, the first one with the payments. So we are really the first one who implemented that into a reuse context. So we have some good knowledge and advantages there. But then afterwards, people try to kind of copy or kind of catch up, and it was more like digital deposit. So you charge €2, you refund €2, stuff like that. But then you have fees as well, like because each time transaction from MasterCard, Visa, and stuff like that, right? There's always fee connected. So for us, we only, like let's say after 7 days, the cup was not returned, we would have to charge, and this is like low digit percentage, so 2 to 5%, whatever the case it is. So it's really like smart as well from that. And yeah, then the return part also with RFID is very easy, that we use these scanners. So like you could also install an antenna like this into a dishwasher. So you just place the dirty cups there, they go through and automatically detect it. So it's really like kind of combining like this, trying to be the best in everything, like in the part of how easy it is to operate it, the best with the payment parts, that we can also work with Apple Pay and Google Pay, which was a big challenge as well. Like with the virtual cards and not with the physical cards, then different currencies, of course. And then also the return process, like how can we make it as easy as possible as well. So that's more the product thing, and how it worked with the airport or the clients we had. It is kind of different. So some reached out to us, some was like a tender process where people we know tell, hey guys, they're doing a tender for, let's say, Brussels airport, want to test it, and we then apply, and then they, of course, evaluate like five other ones. But I think by knowing what we provide, and I think it's quite easy to win. So we see a good product market fit now with the technology. Some of them tried app systems or stuff before, so they then switching to us. This gives us a lot of confidence as well. So that's great. And others are just curious. They want to change something because of management or laws and regulations, and then they reach out to us and we present it, and then they make their own thing. And we, from the start, also here in Denmark, there was not much legislation or help, so we really had to keep the best product has to win. We have to focus on building the best product. Others got a lot of grants, or they got through connections, but the product was maybe inferior. So for us, was really like, in Germany there was this huge pull because of legislation. You have to implement a reusable cup system, so that helps. For us, it never was the case. So we really have to. We were kind of really focused on building the best thing, and that really shows now that people reaching out to us from different countries and want us to help them with their task of switching to reusable cups. And as I said, not cups products. We completely white label. They can choose any type of packaging for hot, for cold, food. And also we have a lot of flexibility here. They can change the different time frame, things like that. So they can say like, stadium 24 hours, in a zoo 10 days, or stuff like that, like different setups, different currencies as well. So a small cup, a big cup, it could be different. So yeah, like basically trying to fix all the problems at once.
Yeah, and maybe on this last phase of this question that you're mentioning, that it is white labeling, you're allowing the brands that you're serving to kind of add their own essence to it. Yeah. And that's a big shift away from the KleenHub, especially in the beginning days. How is that helping you position a stronger adaptation or interest in what you offer?
I think in general, like there was like also through the talks we had with the high volume players, they would always have their brand. So we would never make an impact with our system. Only the small ones, the high volume, would be only with their own brand. And then realize, like, why does KleenHub be on the cup? Does it matter that it's KleenHub? I think this cup is an amazing cup as well. So yeah, and also all the things that we source this cup, and then they would like a different color or a different size, a different lid. And then in the end, like, this is necessary. And we really then said, like, in the end, we want to just solve the problem. We realized enabling is better. So we don't want to be another reuse system, because now, as I said, like in the last 5 years, many other came up there. And then we invested also so much money now in building this tap and reuse, and before building the app, and then others built the app, and then tap and reuse, and now others trying to build tap and reuse. It's just like, why don't just license it, give it to other people? It's just smarter. They can focus dealing with their clients. That's why we have this kind of distributor model where we have people with producing a cup like this, for example, bring it to universities. We give them technology, and then together they can win the market, because a cup alone would not work. They need a system. So it was like a lot of learnings, and then realizing the brand. is not the most important. Like if you go to a different country, we should also start it to UK, to Norway, then bringing the brand there is also like a huge challenge. Like, and is it necessary?
Yeah, completely.
It's kind of the first principle. Like, what we want to do is help people to save single use, right? And our brand is not really needed for that. And if a Starbucks wants to do something, we're happy to provide them. They have the benefit of their own system. They can customize it. They can have the packaging of their dreams. So we don't have to be involved in that, all of things. So it's just like becoming lean, way more focused and way more scalable. That was the idea behind it.
Great, thank you. Great, so now we can close a little bit of this conversation into imagining a bit of the future and what's upcoming. And you just made a big move in hiring and obtaining a new team member, a new CTO, Stephen Boye.
Yeah.
And that's an exciting growth phase.
Absolutely.
And, right, congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all. And what's next then for KleenHub, and what excites you the most, and what challenges but prospects lie ahead?
No, first of all, with Stephen, amazing addition to the team. We're super lucky to get a super experienced guy like him. He's like a serial founder, several companies, 3 exits, even 2 IPOs. So really like technical as a human, of course, and then also like as a founder, also as a startup guy. So it's not just like couldn't be ask for a better person. So he started early May, so 1.5 months with us now, almost 2 months now. Or a big impact to us. Of course, having such a senior guy helping us. We have now great tech team as well. What's next as well, of course, now we do fundraising right now, talking to a lot of investors. They see in the progress, a lot of them following us for 3-4 years already. They see actually what we did, and we keep them, or I keep them updated on our progress. And it's just crazy if they know what we did before and what we do now, and the clients we talk and things like that, and the technology, how they get involved, and team as well now. So it's super good for us now. Perfect timing as well. So before the round, investors very positive for it. For us, good timings, got a lot of learnings because he's been such an experienced guy. So it helps us not just on a technical side, but also on the organization level, stuff like that. Very good feedback, sparring partner. And what's next? Fundraising, of course, closing around hopefully in September. And with this money, then hiring. Growing the tech team more, because we have a lot of possibilities how we can improve things, how we can make more scalable. Same goes commercially, like we're speaking to really big players in that field. We just waiting of some legal stuff will be done with some major players, should be also done fairly soon. We did a lot of progress there. Took longer than expected, but also the supermarket I mentioned took a long time. But through this kind of pilot, we have seen a lot of organic growth. That's also to mention before, like one airport leads to another, We've been there, they see it, it works, things like that. So a lot of organic growth for now, not really actively pushing growth. Major clients coming up, good awareness momentum right now. Legislation is also coming and helping us a bit now, finally, after 4 or 5 years in business. So it's a good time now, and so really. Moving forward, scaling this, improving it, different segments, different countries. We have a lot of interest from places we're not live yet. And then, the future, this, I think the worst is over. It's like, it was very tough. We constantly reinvented it. Also, we've been one of very small startup, right? We are like now 6 people before 5 for 2 years, 3 years or something like this. But we built better technology, better solutions than others with 60, 80, people and millions of funding. So we're really capital efficient, really like trying to fix the problem, forced with a minimum amount of money and time and team. So it became very good. We once were one of the first ones with the app, we were the first ones with the payment part here. So I think this continues. Now we have like way better team than before. So really excited of the future. This is also finally a good feedback from the market, rolling it out, generating revenue, entering new markets, big partnerships. So it's going forward. Big step.
Exciting things and you've been through the growing pains. Over
these,
I imagine. Do you wish to share? Could you share one that was a bit of this unexpected hurdle that you had to make it through to reach this point?
I don't know where to start here. I don't know,
How many are there?
it's like, no,
Thousands.
no, I mean, I think also discussed it recently with some investors, really important is also resilience, because it's tough. It's really tough to do that, to follow your dream, build a company. It's not easy in the environment. And of course, there are other segments who are more sexy, like AI, where you get easy money. For us, it was really, really tough, and attraction and really getting it out. And of course, if you add more complexity when it comes to hardware, software now, instead of an app, more failure, more points of failure and things like that. So it becomes, of course, challenging. But in the end, you just have to go through it. We see other companies with a lot of funding, like already quit or bankrupt. So we also have good learnings from them, so what not to do. Scale too fast, I think scaling problems. We really try to learn from everyone. And many things, like really investors pulling out almost right before we wanted to close a round. It was like one of the toughest moments, very sad times back in the days. Partnerships, commercial one, of course. Once we had to kind of, because also funding wise, we had to reduce salaries, stop our salaries, kind of almost lay off a tech guy we had, and then kind of rehire him later, and amazing that he's joined again. So it was really, because we believe in what we do, of course, but we couldn't at some point pay him for some months. A lot of things like that, like always the lack of money, basically, which helped us to be, of course, also aware, not spending on stupid stuff. But it's we made it out tougher. We made it tougher than expected sometimes as well. But I think this is a learning process. We really learn a lot. We may fail a lot as well. Don't want to go too much into the failure parts, but so far we progressed, and I think it's a good timing now to what's next, and really excited about the future.
Exciting. And maybe just one visionary, what would be a key partnership, whether it's a brand or maybe another environment like an airport or supermarket you made it into? What gets you excited?
Yeah, I mean, able to impact. Of course, there's always the impact. Like if you do this in a small pilot, if you do it like in 10 locations somewhere, or we do it or for a short amount of time, for 3 months, it's amazing. It's a new segment we learn, but I think really like exciting. Like I'm having a client with hundreds of locations willing to scale it up after like initial pilot. I think that's super, super exciting. The trust of a big brand, of like a supermarket as well. I think always excited also is kind of these different segments. So suddenly we started now almost a month ago into a supermarket. We've never been in a supermarket. And I think for the future as well. So of course it's more like you see cup focus, coffee, or food and stuff like that. But I think the real impact is actually from food packaging, right? If you supermarket buy meat packaged or whatever, vegetables and stuff like that, this is the waste. Like way more waste compared to go takeaway packaging. And for stuff like this, you need kind of a technology like RFID, what we already have, and these payment parts as well. Some improvements, of course, is needed there, which you're already working on. But in the end, it's like this is like that you can generate more impact. Like working with big clients, high volume ones, trusted really brands people look up to, in helping their customers to switch to reuse, and seeing that the numbers going up, and people being sticky as well. The people like the system, they continue as. So from a customer perspective, but also from a brand, that they start with 10 shops and then they do 50 and then 200 or 300. So that's, I think, the excitement, these opportunities, because we have many opportunities, like really, like if everything goes well, we have like several hundred thousands now.
Just clapping.
No, connected to this. So I think that's really, there's so much potential now we see. So we're really in the early stage of the potential, and now in the next 3-4 months, we kind of trying to unlock it, and really hope this goes well, because then it's really, then we're really on the early stages of fixing a major problem with the packaging, which others couldn't achieve with different technologies. So that's really exciting for me, and these kind of brand discussions we have, or people like major brands reaching out to us, and investors getting excited and connecting us to kind of big brands, and that's really cool. Like seeing, like after all these 5 years kind of working on it, that we finally get the recognition in the market we deserve, based on our innovative technology, based on our team and our way how we see it. And the same from kind of competitors. It's an amazing feeling now after the hard work kind of pays out. It's still early stage, but a lot of progress, good feeling. Yeah.
It makes me super excited for you, especially seeing you all the way from the e-waste journey to here. And yeah, it's a lot of jumps you've made, and I see a lot of potential. And a lot of great things ahead.
Yeah, it's survival of the fittest, right? I think it's if you have to
Going
adapt.
to the gym.
Yeah, not like this actually. Also, that's important to, I think, release some stress we have with the company. But it's really, it's really being open up and willing and rethinking things, and not just like, okay, we have built an app, now we have to continue it. It's really like, okay, being willing to change, learning, and adapting. I think if we would do this interview now in 3 months and 4 months, it would be already different. So like, it's crazy, like the pace we have actually. Sometimes it's funny, I can share the story. We worked with a client in Norway, and it was with the first version of tap and reuse, and took months when everything was set up and stuff like this. When we were able to launch it, we already had the second generation. So we kind of said, no, sorry, we have to now launch the first one, even we know this will be phased out anyway. So we were too fast to kill our darlings, and at some point we said, now we can't just constantly improve and innovate, because we also have not commercialized it. Or we worked too long to make this deal happen, and then if we would have switched to a different technology, they would have started over again. So we decided, okay, let's go with this, commercialize it, and then after 3-4 months in deployment, we can upgrade it. So so also now with our solution, we're already working on the next big thing basically, but we also realized this works very great, so it's just really working. So we have to slow down a bit, commercialize it, and then in the meantime do it. Because if you're always changing the next thing, I think it's not too good. So that was also maybe a thing we learned, that we were too fast to replace things or to innovate things, and then the process starts over again. So stick with it a bit, of course work on the next thing, and then once everything is tested and approved, we can do a big pivot.
Momentum, I hear, and a lot of innovative thinking, wanting to be the best solution. So to close this out together and to help everyone also listening to dream and to take action, could you share what is one action someone who is attentively curious and listening that they can take today to be more conscious and to support this shift from single use to systems and reusing?
Yeah, I think one of the major things I learned, it depends, okay, what you are, but I think it comes to leadership, right? We have the knowledge, we know what we have to do, climate change, or we should reuse, or we should waste less, or we should wear secondhand. So I think knowledge is there, money is also mostly there, so governments or anyone, or if you're in a corporation, so the data is there, the money is there. But it always comes down to leadership. So if a person in a leadership position, I think it's just important that you just give it a try. So it's really about, I think it's always leadership. It's not more, we don't need more information about climate change or about reuse. We don't need more studies or life cycle assessment, stuff like this. It's already kind of proven it's the most important thing to fix that. And so like coming down to leadership, being bold and start action. So that's on a corporate level. If you in charge of something, okay, let's try it out, let's change something, let's give it a try. It just doesn't have to, you don't have to change the whole building, the whole company into reuse or whatever it is, or just start small. I think that's really like, if you have power, decision power, be bold, do it, and give it a go a small way. Like not overthink, it's a huge problem, of course, if now a huge major company wants to switch whatever it is, more sustainable. Start small, just do it like at a pilot, see if it works, learn from it, and then. So yeah, I think that's the thing, like taking action, bold leadership, and starting small, and individually just also be curious. I think it's important. Be curious, like what's out there. Is there a better way to brush my teeth? Is there a better way to shop? You know, like how to dress or how I deal with food waste or food in general. I think there's so many options out there. So curious, like not just, and always stay positive as well. I think there's a lot of, because like of course you can get overwhelmed with all of this. I mean, for us as well, like there's so many challenges every day. But I think just be positive that we are able as humans to fix things, to improve things, to believe also in technology. Not everything can be solved with technology, of course, but I think we have possibilities to fix things long term. So I once saw, there was like an interview from a crazy tech investor, and they were also saying like he's not worried about climate change because there will be technologies to fix it. I mean, that's very extreme as well, that you can just continue and whatever in the future we build something and then it fixes things. That's a bit too extreme, but I think for sure, like we as humans always involved and find ways to fix problems, and so yeah. I think there's a lot of points to that answer, I think, but I hope it's helpful at some point.
Yeah, I think you covered a bit of who has power in leadership or to make decisions, but also for the simple citizens or civilians also to be curious and to think of, to question is what I hear as the simple example of the brushing teeth.
Yeah, and also the power you have by yourself, right? If you buy this or that, like small things, of course, always it's monetary. You as a consumer have power. You can vote, most importantly, right? You can inform as well, like knowing, talking to people. So many free things you can do about improving things, right? But of course, if you're in a position of power as a politician or in a company, of course, the impact is way higher. And I think it's important people understand that we are, like as a human, you care about these things, and then you talk to others, and then hopefully a movement kind of helps a bit. So.
Well, I hope to see this continue being a movement.
Yeah.
And I'm cheering you on.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for all the great questions.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I create these podcasts to inspire listeners to live more eco-consciously and to help us reimagine our systems with a more sustainable and regenerative lens. If you have any questions, feedback, or you want to get in touch, you can reach me on any one of my social media platforms or email me at raisingthecircle@gmail.com. Now, please do me a favor and spread the word by sharing this podcast with one person that you think might enjoy it. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.